Hi, I'm Luke.
I'm Diandra. We're the two Brigands, and we have two littles. Zoe's who's almost 3, and Jude, who is 3 months old.
We're in our 30s, young 30s, and I tend to be a little bit more extroverted. I'm a ENFP on the Myers-Briggs, which I was told to share if I knew, and I'm a 6 on the Enneagram.
I am a 3 wing 4, and I tend to be a little bit more introverted, and I tend to be a little anxious. It's my attachment style.
And I like risky activities. I'm a thrill seeker.
I do not.
One of the ways that I've experienced God through these practices, and it's hard because there's a lot here. So without getting into like any one individually, I'll just say they've allowed me to know myself, and get to know myself, and through that really get to know God. And it's allowed me to get to know God, which has allowed me to get to know myself. And it's made it more relational, I think, for kind of my upbringing. I grew up in a Christian home. It was very intellectual faith for me. It's like, okay, this is a worldview that makes some sense. Now I have a relationship, and that took a long time, but through these practices, that's really taken formation.
Similar to Luke, I feel like I've really benefited from a lot of the different practices shared at different seasons of my life. And I would say the common thread for me and how I've experienced God through these maturing practices is really a confrontation of my sin. And one of my spiritual directors will say that you can't meet anyone that is more tenacious for growth and change in his life. And I would like to argue that maybe I'm in the running for that tenacity as well. And I think it's because I've experienced such gentleness and grace from God in confronting my sin and realizing that God only wants to confront the sin in our lives to bring us into freedom and bring us into a more mature and more true version of who we are. And so these practices have really allowed me to have this framework of being freed from my false self into my true self of who God has designed me to be, and is more a process of becoming more like him. And so I would say these practices have given me the gift of being more comfortable with even the conversation of sin and looking at sin in my own life, and also the sin done unto me, and really allowing God to heal those places. And I would just say practically, I think healing is really painful. And so I think stepping into these practices can be really scary, and at times they have felt scary to me. And I would say that a lot of like these practices I have done without that have been more like self-helpy, and those things, when I've done in my own power, my own strength of trying to better myself, I have not found God in them, and they've actually been burdensome. And when I have pursued them with an intention of allowing God to speak into those things, and allowing other people to speak into those things, then they've produced like fruit of knowing God and the freedom and joy of becoming your true self.
Yeah, that's good. I think, similar for me. It's taken intentionality, but it is scary to take it on, because you are confronting yourself, or you're taking on a challenge in a way. I mean, even if it's eating healthy, like that's a challenge. And physically, that it can be a challenge to train for something, or anyways, you have to kind of set out for it, and that can be scary to kind of take the first step. But it also, I think, grows. Like you become stronger, or stronger is not a good word in this sense, but you become more familiar, and it becomes less scary to continue the practice and to step into that, but you do need to kind of make a conscious choice to engage in it.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, really practically, like when we stepped into couples therapy, it was out of crisis and it was really hard.
Yeah.
And I think both of us had a lot of reservations and even like barriers of our hearts and what we shared and how we approached it. But I think we both know that we were stepped into that because we really wanted what God had for us in our marriage, even if it meant looking at the hard and ugly things. And now it's something we absolutely enjoy and love and don't want to discontinue because it's giving us so much life.
It's great.
And with like a physical example, like I feel like when I have tried to be physically healthy without God, it has become laborious and actually like perpetuated idols in my life. And when I've brought like God into the conversation, asked what does health look like for me in this season and these areas of my life, it's actually it just looks a lot different. You know, like right now in my season of physical health, it's like, okay, God, I have 2 little babies. What does health look like? And being really exposed of like the idols in my life of vanity or control. And that's more of the conversation, not like I'm gonna try to be healthy and eat and go on a diet and just so that I can be a better version of myself. It's much more like an internal dialogue with God and wanting to know what his best is for us and what his invitation and gift is in the season of your life. So, anything else?
No.
It produces joy.
Freedom.